Right, I think the most important thing here is, can people hear me? And right, well, the most important thing here is, can people hear me? And turns out I can hear myself. Well, the most important thing here is, can people hear me? And turns out I can hear myself. Well, the most important thing here is, can people hear me? And turns out I can hear myself. Well, the most important thing here is, can people hear me? And turns out I can hear myself. Well, the most important thing here is, can people hear me? And turns out I can hear myself. Well, the most important thing here is, this is the first thing from home, so let's just make sure that I can hear myself. Well, not too loud. Can people hear everything? The music's not too loud. I can hear myself. Well, quality loud. Can people hear everything? Questionable. Too loud. I can hear myself. Well, quality loud. Can people hear everything? Questionable. Isn't it loud? I can hear myself. Well, quality loud. Can people hear everything? Questionable. Isn't it loud? I can hear myself. Well, quality loud. Can people hear everything? Questionable. Isn't it loud? I can hear myself. Well, quality loud. Can people hear everything? Questionable. Isn't it loud? I can hear myself. Well, quality loud. Can people hear everything? Questionable. Isn't it loud? This is quality challenge. People hear everything? Questionable. Isn't it loud? This is quality challenge. People hear everything? Questionable. Isn't it loud? This is. How about that? There you go. Right, okay, I had my own stream music playing. No one told me to mute that, so that's QA right there. Right, so basically, this stream is more of a discussion about the current old school poll. A chance for everybody to ask questions on what they think of the current results, where we're going with direction of old school, and generally anything else that you want to hear, such as God Wars or any other upcoming content. So anything you wanted to ask related to God Wars, or anything in the poll that you weren't so sure about, or anything that you're annoyed there's won, or anything that's even won, this is your chance to talk about it. And I've connection lost it. Okay, that's that's a good start as well, isn't it? Bear with me for 2 seconds to sort that one out. For the record, I'm actually at home. This isn't in the office. Yep, bear with me for the video part. That's my own technical hitch. We should be back now. Sorry about that disconnection. I'm streaming from home, so I'm relying on my home internet as opposed to the usual work internet. Right now. I want to keep up with too many things here. Usually I have more screens than this. So I think we'll kick things off with the inevitable God Wars discussion, because that's well, pretty much the topic of what everybody here is talking about. And for the record, the world I'm standing in on my personal account would be world 330, so if anybody's as desperate as to come horde, then do so. God Wars, what we got God Wars related. What isn't God Wars related is the next question. I think Foreign Max said, will God Wars items be tradable? Yes, they will. There's no reason to make them untradeable. You didn't vote for them, nobody requested it. And when am I going to get maxed out? Not on Old School. I've already done that in main game, and I'm not interested in doing it again. Never. Raven RS, can you tell us a bit about whether the God Swords were going to be overpowered? They're the same as how they were on release. It's down to you to decide whether they're overpowered or not. You, the community, are the ones that use them. Right, so I think the general... I'm assuming everybody here has voted in the current Old School poll. If you haven't, I strongly recommend you go and do so, despite, you know, there being, what is it right now, there's 20... On my screen it says 28,000 exactly. This is when I logged in. So 28,000 exact votes on Old School. That's more than we've seen for a long... We know that's the highest number we've seen for a long time, since, obviously, post-release of Old School. it's really, really encouraging to see that number come back again. So to see that number is rather, oh, for God's sake, one sec, bear with me with this one. Streaming from home, so this is rather testy or touchy. Let's try that again. This is rather new. I've not done this from home, so let's just see how this goes really. Will it be possible? Okay, I'm not going to answer that question because we all know we'll know the answer to that one immediately. So again, as I was saying originally, we've had more votes in this current Old School poll than we've had for a long time. If you haven't, I urge you to go ahead and do so. It's really encouraging to see so many votes come in. It means we're doing something right. It means we're picking the right content everybody wants. At the same time, it's also encouraging to see the numbers go up. We've always maintained the numbers aren't going down; they're leveling out and going up. So with content updates like this, we can only expect it to continue. The more people who vote, the more chance we have of increasing that content count. A date for God Wars? We don't have a set date. It's our current top priority. So it's something that we're going to be working on over the coming weeks. It's best to just keep, stay tuned really. We don't really know when it's going out, but we're going to keep everybody up to date through mediums of Twitter, through the forums, Reddit, even live streams and such as that. So there is no set specific date for when we're going to release it. It's just more a case of just keeping up to date with all the social media that we actively publicise our content on. What else we got here? I'm trying to sort of keep up with all these comments at the same time as make sure I'm not sporadically disconnecting. So in case people didn't know, the actual poll itself is going to be shutting in 47 minutes. If you haven't voted, obviously get that vote in. It doesn't look like one vote is going to make much of a difference, but some of the poll options right now are on 73-74%. It would be very good if you had a chance to make a difference with those votes. At the moment, I believe, if we scroll down and have a look at some of the options, that the Armadillo crossbow, for example, is sitting on 72%. Doing a lot of reading on the forums today about the Armadillo crossbow, and not everybody's fully understands what that is, where that comes from, and why it's there. So, chance for people to make a difference on there if there is. I think XB7_RS says, is there going to be loot share? That's in the poll options. I believe that poll option is actually going through. Let's just have a look. Yes, with 87%. So it's not so much loot share. It's more the mez that comes up in your chat box to tell you that who got the drop. So if you decide to go in a free for all, which you're going to have no choice to because there was no loot share, you at least know who got the drop, and nobody can turn around and say, "Oh, it was nothing." So there's a fair chance for everybody to be given their appropriate drop. Would it be possible to get full screen but with old graphics? Yes, but it's not something that we're going to poll soon. It's probably not something we're going to poll ever, to be honest. It's possible, but we have a 3-man team. In order to do that update, originally we needed close to 100 people, and that's something we don't have, so don't expect to see full screen anytime soon. And yes, this is my bedroom. on streaming from home, not work. Work hasn't decided to set up beds in the middle of the office. Although I can't imagine too many people will complain about that. There is no... I'm just going to address this now very, very quickly, because I can imagine this question is going to come up an awful lot. We don't have a set date for when God Wars itself is going to be released. We don't know when that's going to be. There's an awful lot to work we need to do on it. That's work outside of things that we've put in the poll options. So that's just the efficiency of the current code and various changes we have to make due to how buggy it was on release originally. That could take up to 2 or 3 weeks in itself, let alone any of the changes that you voted for. So I'm not gonna promise a date. I'm just gonna promise you that it is our current top priority, and to just keep an eye on, you know, our Twitters, YouTube, or even the streams. For example, we're going to be streaming God Wars in the near future. That's the changes we're making to it, as well as, you know, the current content that we have right now and anything we can play around with. So definitely keep in touch for that. Trying to keep up with absolutely everything that's going on here. Actually, I saw an interesting question about Nex there. Okay. I don't think Nex is going to be added, and I don't think we can really replace Nex with Brassica Prime either, but that would be an interesting god battle, wouldn't it? A giant cabbage. Okay, quite an interesting question here, which is actually something we're going to be patching in the pre-released version of God Wars itself, which is, how many people would just do God Wars now the map has no safe spot? At the moment, in our current build, maps still have the safe spots, so that's something we're going to have to work out and locate to remove before obviously we release it. Otherwise we're going to have the same old situation back in the day. Even I remember that, because obviously when God Wars came out, it's the first place I went to when I was playing back in 2007 originally. I think everybody remembers the old Zilliana spot where you lure it towards the door. It says yes spec, stay there, stand on the wall so the starlight doesn't get you, and then pilot. That's not going to be there. I think we're going to try our best to release that, or without that safe spot there. Another question about, well, regarding to the amount of staff we have. I'll address this one as well. This is something else that comes up an awful lot. There's currently 3 people on Old School. If we had any more, we'd struggle to give them anything to do. That, and obviously when you voted for goals originally, you voted to have a small dedicated team. I think 3 people constitutes as small enough. We certainly can manage with the amount of people we have. We managed to give updates such as the Nightmare Zone, which I hope everybody likes. Obviously we did the live stream the other day where there was 4,000 viewers. Dan and I were running around, Dan being Silent Core, we're running around with AGSs and specking out the boss monsters and generally just showing off all the God Wars items. The bank update, that's a very interesting question actually. You says, when does the bank update? That actually is sitting with me right now in WIP. That's ready for me to test. Once I've tested it, obviously it gets pushed out to you. I don't have a date for that, but I'd imagine it will be either next update or the one after that. I'm not going to promise either one of those, but it's certainly going to be around that period. I haven't actually checked what's going on in game yet. I've got a lot of people here standing around screaming profanities and whatnot at me. Well, so I believe. And some people, they know exactly who they are, trying to increase their infamy. I think Car USA or Carusa 117, I'm not entirely sure which way you say that, but you know who you are. There's not going to be a request system. It's possible, I think, maybe. Ash is your man for things like that. He knows what's possible content code-wise, and compatibility with our engine, but I'm not going to say no, but at the same time I have no idea if it's possible. I'm not going to assume that it's coming out anytime soon if it is. Do we have the tools for RuneTech 5? We don't. I'm not wholly convinced that we need RuneTech 5 for a lot of the updates people are requesting. I mean, one of the updates people frequently request is the ability to switch items faster, so where you just, roll for your inventory for quick switching and whatnot. I believe we can do that on the current RuneTech engine, so I don't know why we need RuneTech 5 for that. I think we're fine with RuneTech 3. So if you can give me a good enough reason as to what we need RuneTech 5 for, we can certainly consider it. As for some of the other current poll options, I think I tweeted out a picture not too long ago of the AGS spec being more increased to 60%. That's now on 14,391 saying yes and 13,600 saying, oh sorry, the other way around, 14,000 saying no and 13,000 saying yes. That's obviously that's a rather 50-50 split in the community. I'm not entirely sure how people feel about it not reaching the 75% mark. I think this is just all about God Wars really, isn't it? Which I'm fine with. I mean, that's the one update I've been really waiting to test. Try and actually view your name quickly because your name is in bright green. Previewed says, will there be bank tabs when the bank update happens? No, bank tabs is an enormously large update. I'm trying to think of a way of explaining how big that update actually is. It's too big for the update we're doing with the current bank update, so there won't be bank tabs when we do Old School update for that. You're going to have to go without, unfortunately. Although there's something we can offer in the future, definitely, in a future poll. It's not anything we're ruling out. It's just not happening in this update. Will it be possible to extend JAG Protection 207? That's an engine update that I would really like to see happen very soon. Obviously, JAG is very important for your own account security. Definitely, it's something that we're pushing for, and it's something I'm pushing for as well. I don't know when it will be added. That's the engine team's decision, and getting engine time is very, very difficult. Very difficult. So I'll push for it again, but I'm not going to, hold any promises. Godwell bosses on the Nightmare Zone. We could add Godwell bosses on the Nightmare Zone. Nightmare Zone technically is more of a quest boss area, much like Dominion Tower, but I guess we could add them as sort of end game endurance content, have them all come in at once, or something like that. That's Nightmare Zone feedback you should probably leave on the forums, really. I think Matt collated a lot of feedback today and posed it to both Ash and I. So any Nightmare Zone content, feedback content updates you have, post in the forums. Again, God Wars release date, I'm not going to promise anything. It'll be out when it's out. I imagine a few weeks, but don't hold me to that. We don't really know what's going on with it, so just wait it out. Again, let's have a look what's going on here. A few people trying to, again, increase their infamy. No suitcase for you, J3. Mine. Hilariously, I've just got a text from Mod Ramen. Instead of posting on the stream, he's texted me, will there be Corp Beast? No. As much as I would love it, no. It's one of my favourite bosses. Any introduction of Slayer sharing? I'd love Slayer sharing. That's an update that I think Chris L spoke about not long ago in a live stream, or even a podcast with RuneShark, I believe. The update might have even been out before that or after that. I can't remember. It was quite a long time ago. But I think Slayer sharing might be possible. I'd certainly love to see it. It's something that makes Slayer an awful lot of fun. Something I wish I had when I did 99 Slayer at least. Yes, and that's Mod Ramen from the Lore forums, who suggested I play ASOT in the background, but apparently it was too loud for you. Oh, I see. Here's another popular one. Something that we're going to consider polling soon, I imagine, but I don't know when. Smoking kills, the Slayer interface, Slayer monsters, Slayer helm, and so on. Is it the quest you want, or is it the reward you want? Because if it's the reward you want, there's no point in us doing the quest, unless you're so intent on having another quest. Do you want another quest, or is it just the reward you want? Because I believe we can give you a version of the Slayer helm, which does everything that this current Slayer helm in main game does. We don't need a quest for that. Oh, it appears people... Oh, there's a mixture of answers there. You want both? The rewards only? Writing a quest would be significantly long, or take significantly longer than just giving you the update items itself. But, again, that's something that we can poll in the future. That's more future content that we can possibly give you that would hopefully retain everybody in Old School a bit longer. What else we got here? Bank tabs. I think bank tabs is something I mentioned earlier. They're possible, but it's a very big job, and it's possibly something we're going to offer in the future. They're not coming with this bank update. We can't really get them in. It's a very big update. You either want God Wars or bank tabs, and I think I'm right in suggesting you'll want God Wars instead of bank tabs right now, unless your priorities have changed radically in the past week. How is it a big job? We've only got the interface editor back. Unfortunately, it's not me that's doing this. This is Ash. So if Ash says it's a big job, it's a big job. But I think the reason is we have to convert the bank interface. We have to create more space. It doesn't sound like a big job, but trust me, it is. It's just one of those things, annoyingly. A Dragon Claw's coming out. I can categorically right now say, and ruin all your days, for all of you Dragon Claw rushers out there, that Dragon Claws are not coming back. If you're complaining about AGS being overpowered, there's no chance you're ever going to get Dragon Claws. I think I'll put that one to bed right now. Coding an old mate game must be hard. Actually, it is very hard. Obviously, we have much fewer commands in the old game than we do in the current main game. So obviously, Ash and Nexus have been going through. They were around at this period, so they used this language. But obviously, as we've progressed, they've come accustomed to using the newer language. So they've had to learn that and then go back to coding Old School and trying not to use up-to-date commands that don't work in Old School. So yes, it is hard to code an old game. I see a lot of love for slamming down the D claws there. I think Karasi can follow the same path as Dragon Claws. Let's be honest. Why would we head Karasi? I don't think that's coming back. I'm certainly not wanting to. Well, obviously, it would have to come back within the story of a quest if you want to follow the path of the lore. And I don't think we need that. The Sour Room is a Sour Room small or big. The Sour Room in Godwater is actually big. It's the original very big room. So you got plenty of space to trap Zilliana in a perfect circle with your range team. Trust me, I've been there. I've spent many an hour running around the Old School God War zone, making sure it's fine. Will there be Dragon Boots? Yes, there's Dragon Boots. You might have seen them in the stream that we did for Nightmare Zone. Both Silent Core and I had them on. They're there. They're looking just as sexy as they used to, with that little spike at the toe. But apparently someone pulled a Christmas cracker with me, but I didn't get the prize. Sad face. I'm trying to get through as many of these questions as I can while staying on the topic of the current God Wars and poll system. Can we do a poll for noted Eddie bars from Avian Seas? I did speak to Ash and Matt about this. Eddie bars being noted is something that obviously I did raise, but I think we mutually agreed that right now we'll hold off that one, and if we need to poll it, we'll definitely poll it. So I don't know where we're at with that one. I see a lot of people requesting it. We obviously are reading that feedback, otherwise we wouldn't have brought it up, and we wouldn't be discussing it now. So I don't know. It's one of those touch and go subjects. Obviously, a lot of people have tuned in since the last time I said this, so I'll say it again now. I'll do so after I finish my random event. Does anybody want a poll system to remove these like we've done in main game? Because I would certainly love to nuke a few of these randoms, especially the maze. And if you're one of these people that I've accidentally given a maze to, then I'm sorry. No, I don't like the maze random at all. In fact, I don't like any random event. These things make me rage far too much. So obviously, I think that's a mutual agreement there. We all hate random events. I'll see if I can. I'll see how see how Matt and Ash feel about nuking some of these. Don't hold me to that. That's just my personal hatred towards random events. I'd love seeing them back for the first maybe hour or so of them coming back to old school, but after that, I can't actually stand them anymore. Attacking random events I'm cool with. I don't mind the evil chicken, and people are pulling crackers from me left, right and centre here. I've just won a yellow and a red. Don't pull crackers with me, guys. I don't need them. Do you remember duel tournaments? You should sell them back to old RS. Duel tournaments, one of the most fun mini games back in 07. Please let me know if we can do a poll. They might be possible. I don't know how everybody else feels about them. How do people feel about duel tournaments? There was never a bit of content I played back in the day. I was never a real staker or a dueler, so I didn't really engage with that content much. There's a few people talking about duel tournaments. In fact, somebody just mentioned something that I've brought up countless times, which is Bounty Hunter. Now, obviously, when we did the original poll for what you want prioritised, you saw PvP worlds. Do you not think introducing Bounty Hunter as well as PvP worlds would make either one of them redundant or the wilderness itself redundant? Don't get me wrong, I love Bounty Hunter. I think Bounty Hunter was one of the most well-designed pieces of content RuneScape's ever had, personally. I have no reason to dislike it. I see a lot of love for Bounty Hunter. That's cool. It means I'm on the right track. When will God Wars be released? I'm going to keep on saying this throughout the stream because obviously a lot of people are joining who haven't heard me say this originally. We don't know when God Wars is going to be released. In the coming weeks, we're starting working on it. Well, we've already started working on it. I think Nexus put it into its own test stream. Once it's in its test stream, we can start packing content to it. We can start testing it. We can start removing, adding to it, editing it, changing it, all that stuff. I'm not going to give you a time frame because obviously that can change. Just keep an eye out for live streams where we're going to be showing off God Wars. We're going to be showing off some content that has never been released into the game before. That's a little sneak peek that we're going to be showing you. Basically, stay tuned for that. I can't give you a time for when God Wars is coming out because I don't know, and I don't want to promise that it's coming out next week, but it's not. I don't want to say 4 weeks. It could be 3 weeks. I don't know. It's just best to stay tuned. It's definitely coming. You voted for it. But I believe if I update the poll page, it still sits on 89%, so it's coming back for sure. So it's coming back regardless. Just be patient. So we don't want to release it and it be broken and for people to go in there and lose all their stuff. We want to make sure we get it right. Obviously, you've had it once before. We know what the bugs are before. We've got the power of hindsight on our side this time. We know what was wrong with it, so we can fix all the problems before it goes out and you have everything you need. I'm being spam traded by someone called Max Curler. Apparently, he gave me this red. Well, I don't need it anyway, so you can have it. This is not a giveaway, by the way. Look, Mum, I'm on TV. You are. RuneTech 5 again. That's an engine update, so that's nothing that Ash, Nexus, or I can deal with. It's just more a case of where we push them towards doing it. So we'll see what goes with that. And no, this is not a giveaway. He, I think, pulled a cracker with me. Got me a party hat, so I've given it back. I'm not giving away items. This is not my mod account. This is my personal account. So there's no infection to the economy here. Right, the Armadillo crossbow and the staff is a question I've just seen come up. This is something I really actually wanted to talk about. Do people think the current wording for the Armadillo crossbow is understandable and appropriate? I'll wait for questions to start, or answers to start rolling in for that. There's been a lot of people saying they don't understand what it is, why it's being dropped by the Saraboss. If it's going to be ruin PKing or anything like that. I've seen a lot of people claim that it's not very well understood, or not very well written, as it were. I think I'll shadow that. I think what it's meant to do is mimic what effectively it does in main game, with a few tweaky changes to make sure it's not OP. In fact, I think Ash properly, really outlined what the Armadillo crossbow does in the dev blog originally. If you didn't read the dev blog, I suggest you do so, and if you haven't voted in the poll, I'd suggest reading the dev blog first, so you at least know what you're voting on. Call for the win, ETA and God Wars, I don't know. In the coming weeks, I'm not going to promise anything. Keep an eye out. So I can say. Question for how old I am. I'm 22. I'll leave that one there. Say no more. What happened to the Kraken? That was an interesting read. Ash and I actually really got a bit carried away with that Kraken update. Well, not update, Kraken discussion. I think we started looking into what assets we had and seeing if we could concept a sort of giant octopus style boss. Again, that's something that will probably come in the future, as a poll option at least, with more discussion around it first. It's not coming anytime soon, so don't put too much faith in there being a specific new boss such as the Kraken. But it was a very interesting read, and obviously that's feedback we need. So at RuneFest, will there be any 07 talk? I don't know anything about the RuneFest plans. That's being dealt with by CM. I won't say for sure, I don't know. And yes, Neo will rustle my jimmies. Machiavelli. Yes, he will. Can we have dungeoneering? I think Ash posted on the forum saying we can certainly have a mini-game similar to what dungeoneering is. Obviously it won't be a skill, and it certainly won't give you chaotics in the same form as they are. Will it be possible to implement loot share later on by the good old GBU? Nicola, I don't know. I don't know who you how you pronounce that. I'm not even going to try. I'm not going to embarrass myself and you on stream. I think loot share is certainly possible, but we don't have a grand exchange system, so we can't value items. We can't reward you loot share points. So until we find a hacky way around that, I'm not sure if we're going to offer loot share anytime soon. We have ALK values, but ALK values aren't entirely reliable. I'm sure we could probably give items a fake value, but again, that's very hacky because we don't want to then screw up PKing rewards. We obviously want to make sure everything remains as fluent and as similar to it is now. So will we add grand exchange? Personally, this is me speaking personally, I don't want to see grand exchange. I think that the engagement between player versus player trading and using the forums and all that is much better than using a grand exchange system. However, if people want it enough and we end up with the infrastructure as to support it, I guess we might one day poll it. Don't hold me to that. But again, personally, I don't want to see it. Much like I don't want to see declaws, but the current system that's in place for people trading right now has worked since the time it came out. I don't see any reason to add something like Grand Exchange. Let's just leave it as is for the time being. Will free-to-play Old School ever be released? That's not a decision I can make. That's for people who run everything. If we get told to make free-to-play Old School, we'll make it. If we don't, then we don't. That's not a decision I can answer, sorry. Will we be dropping crackers this Christmas? Yes, we will. I think Matt's working out the best way of, re-dropping rares again to everybody. Is this ever going to cost anything extra in the future? I believe our executive producer, Mod Pips, highlighted that Old School will remain at its current price. I don't think there's any reason to believe that will change, but he stated, he's our exec producer, he runs RuneScape, and he's made the decision, so there's no reason to worry about Old School becoming more expensive. Will the mouse wheel camera be polled again? Tell you what, personally, I would love for that to be polled. I really, really, really wanted that one to go through because I can use it in testing. Obviously it didn't pass, and because it didn't pass, we couldn't make a test version, so I find myself forever clicking around the place with my middle mouse wheel. I need to find out it doesn't work. I'm not going to say we're going to re-poll it, obviously there's no point in us failing an update through a poll and then obviously just re-polling it till it passes, but if the community are vocal enough to re-want it, or want it back in a poll, then I guess that's something we can explore, but I'll have to talk that one through with Ash, Nexus and Matt. There could be a chance, it could be that people didn't understand what it was. I saw a lot of people saying it would ruin PKing, but I'm not a PKer, but I don't see how it would ruin PKing. If any PKers are watching, if you could properly explain how PKing would be ruined by rotating your mouse, rotating your screen with a mouse wheel, then I would genuinely really love to hear it. Because at least then, if we know what would be ruined, we could possibly make adjustments to make sure it's not ruined. So please do let us know. And why is the video quality so bad? I don't know. This is the first time I'm doing this from home. I'm not going to pretend I'm proficient in doing this. Silent Core is your live stream manager. He's the one that sorts these out very, very quickly and makes sure they're up to perfection. Obviously I haven't QA'd my own live streaming skills very well. Will it be possible to add penguin hide and seek? I think that we can certainly add something similar to penguins. I don't see a reason why. Well, it's not impossible. It's just whether people want it or not. I believe there is a way of doing so. We don't even have to use penguins. We could use anything really. We could use the fur trader standing in Valk right here if we wanted to. Just duplicate him around the map occasionally. Is there any plans on implementing the run system from EOC into 07 as energy runs out rather quick? I thought energy running out in Old School was what made it feel so homely, as it were. Obviously, I could run to the bank right now and I'll probably end up with, well, what's my energy right now? Well, obviously 100%. I could run to the bank and it'd be about 30%. I thought that's what made it so appealing. I think we can adjust to your energy rates, but I think someone just asked in the game, is that a fish tank behind me? No, that's not a fish tank. I have a lot of exotic pets, so that's just them. Oh, Halloween's going to be about again? Yes, they are. I think they'll come out at Halloween, obviously. If we drop them before or after that, that's down to Matt. And whatever you lovely community people say. This is moved from God Wars now to my pets. I have rats, a bearded dragon. I did have a snake, but unfortunately he died about a year ago. That's it. That's about. I didn't realise we were so interested in dragons outside of RuneScape. I think I'll point out, guys, that the current poll for Old School actually ends in 15 minutes. Again, if you haven't voted, please do vote. We actually, as sad as it sounds, very genuinely excited to see so many votes come through for this particular update. The last time we saw this many votes was post Old School update. So we really want to see more people voting in the polls from... Well, we really love to see more people voting in the polls from here on, so... It's encouraging to know that our community is still growing and still ever interested in making this game better and more enjoyable for everybody. Obviously, I love working on all the content people vote for. The more you vote and the more you get in, the more obviously we can improve. New Snake boss coming to a 7 confirmed. Good though. Will we fix the Armadillo Pendant? That's from Anda EW. What's wrong with the Armadillo Pendant? I might be missing something here. If you tell me what's wrong with it, I can tell you if we're going to fix it or not, or if that's just player confusion. Neo asks if I can do a Rat Pits event. He will bring wine and cheese. No. As much as I would like to have a wine and cheese with Neo. You cannot get the Armadillo Pendant back, apparently. If that's a bug, I'll look into it tomorrow morning and see if we can fix that before God Wars comes out. Okay, I'll look into the Armadillo Pendant thing tomorrow. That seems to be a big concern of yours. If it's true, we'll obviously get it fixed before the update, and you can have it right back right now. In fact, it might even be hot fixable, so we could probably do it first thing in the morning. One of the poll options is the PJ timer. I would have thought the PJ timer would be something that everybody would actually want. Why have so many people voted no? Are people really against the PJ timer? Are all of you secretly PJers that want to jump your target? PJ has obviously voted no. I think that makes sense. But what this tells me is there's an awful lot of PJers. That's 8,500 of them. I don't see a problem with that. I'm not a PK. I'm not the one that has to put up with, you know, getting a kill and then being jumped immediately. But again, if you haven't voted in the poll and you wanted to vote yes, you can still possibly sway it. I mean, it's not just you. If you tell friends to vote. What are the poll options that we have here that have been rather close? Actually, no, this is a question I wanted to ask. For everybody else, this is a question towards you, actually, as opposed to you asking me anything. The capacity of your bank will be increased by 24 slots. This got 98% in the poll. Who was it that voted no to this one? I'm really curious. Who voted no to additional bank space? We looked at this originally and we were really confused. We were convinced this one was going to hit 100%, but we're not. People who don't want any updates, that would make sense. But I would have thought everybody would have been gunning for extra bank space. And then what's even more confusing is below that, people that then voted no to a search option. I would have thought people would have wanted that as well. It's obviously going through. It received the highest winning percentage I think we've ever seen in any Old School poll. Well, either way it's coming for you, so expect to see that one pretty soon, I guess. I'm actually getting questions coming through Twitter now as well as text. Again, Mod Ramen from the Law Forums says, is Livid Farm coming back? Some of you didn't know, Mod Ramen has recently taken an avid interest into playing Old School because God Wars is coming back, and him being the bossing fanboy he is, has insisted he helps me test it. So for this update you might have more than just one QA tester testing your content. I'm so glad everybody agrees with no Livid Farm here. I can hack that, that's for sure. Is it possible that the Armadillo crossover passed the poll with 72%? It could certainly reach the extra 3% if you haven't voted in the poll and you now vote. You and everybody else you know. I'm not encouraging you to vote in favour of it, of course, but if you really, really want it that much and you haven't voted, I really suggest you do. Will there be any Jagex Cup style competitions for clans? I don't know. I know Matt's very interested in all things to do with clans. I'm going to leave that one to Matt, and I'll leave that one there. I don't know is the honest answer, to be honest. Fist of Gothics. I guess we can do Fist of Gothics. Again, it would depend on if you know 75% of our community want it or not. When will the bank updates be going to live? I will try and have them ready for you this Thursday. I'm not going to commit to saying they will be ready for Thursday, but they'll certainly be pushed for this Thursday. If not, next week. I'm actually getting quite a lot of questions in game that I've been ignoring. That's quite rude of me. I think there's a chicken over here punching somebody. What else we got? Right, I think the poll options close in 7 minutes. I've just got another random event. And it's the one I hate the most, and I really hope there was nobody logged in at work who gave that random event to me. This is one of the run events I can give a player on the potato, and if I was given this run event, I am not amused. I'm trying to do this run event at the same time as answer all these questions. You might have to watch me stare glaringly at the screen for a few minutes. Can I give you that random 10 times in a row? I could, but at the expense of creating bank for you, I'm going to say no. Do Jagex workers give the randoms? No, but we can give you a random manually if we wanted to. I quite enjoy doing it to bots occasionally. It really screws them up. And as people know, I'm a bit of a troll occasionally, so usually if you're playing I might come along and give you a random just for the lols. Are you adjusting the difficulty of God Wars to fill up the lack of summoning? We haven't planned to adjust the difficulty in God Wars, although it is possible for us to do things like hard mode, similar to what's currently in main game. We didn't poll with the option for hard mode. It's something we probably could poll. If enough people wanted hard mode God Wars, it's certainly something we can explore. How do people feel about hard mode? Do not adjust God Wars. That's been the sentiment all the way through so far, really, hasn't it? %, and everyone's even paying attention. Leave it alone. That seems to be the resulting comments for any update to God Wars. What's hard mode? Hard mode is basically we don't adjust the bosses that are there currently. We add an instance where you can go into and fight that boss only harder. That's all it is really. It's currently in the main game. If you want to go into the main game and see what hard mode is like, by all means go ahead. I recommend Ziliana. She's quite nasty to fight hard mode. Will God Wars items be tradable? Yes, God Wars items will be tradable. We're not going to make them untradable. That would really defeat the point of it being a team-based game. They're going to be tradable. We have no plans on even polling it for it to be a chance of being untradable, so... I think you've got 5 minutes left till the poll closes. I'm not sure how many of you are actually voting in it. It has gone up quite a few, nearly 100 or so really, since the last time. I think it's safe to say here that God Wars is definitely going through. We preemptively started working on it a few days ago. Can you add an option to go to 8 Patel without claiming defense experience? Didn't we already have that one on our poll? I think we did. I might be wrong. If we didn't, we might be able to explore that. I'll chat to Ash again. Max Cape. Max Cape. We can't add new graphics, obviously, so if we made a Max Cape, we'd have to recolor an existing cape. We couldn't really give it a new emote, we can only use an existing emote. What's Max Cape to you about those two things? Are you still concerned by having a cape which says you've maxed, without the ability of having a really cool emote and really cool looking cape, or... We can't add... I'll point out now, we can't add new graphics, we don't have a graphics artist. Asking one of our graphics artists to go from making the awesome looking graphics they have in the main game right now to creating old school graphics, which, don't get me wrong, I played during this period, but I don't think they're going to appreciate being asked to make downgrade their current awesome graphics. So people, I don't know, there seems to be a 50-50 split of people here who feel in favour of the Max Cape. We could add the dance floats to it. I'm not going to promise we're going to do anything like the Max Cape, but I get a lot of questions about the Orion client now. The Orion client is third party, obviously. It's not owned by Jagex, it's not endorsed by Jagex. The way it gets its information, we've investigated. It gets its information fairly. I'm not going to say any more than that. You play it, you use it at your own risk. It's much like using any other third-party client you may have used over the years. Some of the popular ones that you obviously know about. I'm not going to say anything more than that. Is there a possibility of adding anti-fire notifications when it's about to run out soon? I definitely think that's possible. Actually, that's really a good idea. Adding an option for when anti-fire is about to run out, I'd definitely consider. 100%, it's a good idea. I'll speak to Ash about it. We'll probably even get it into a next poll. As for an XP timer, when you say XP timer, do you mean XP to next level on your current stats page? Obviously, if I hover over attack here, you might actually see it on the live stream. Where it says next level at, are you hoping for a remainder XP at? Is that what you're on about? I'm not sure how much lag is in the stream, so I'm just waiting for answers here. Oh, it looks like yes. So you do want the remainder amount of XP to level, because if you do, you're in luck. We actually have that in our whip archive. That is something we can definitely offer. Again, I'll have to talk to Ash and Matt about when we actually decide to offer it to you. But it is possible, certainly. Do I watch Boaty's videos? I watch quite a few live streams. Some of the big names and some of the lesser known names, even people that decide to randomly stream one day. I watch quite a few of them. It's interesting to see what people get up to. So many. Try not to make sure I answer the same question twice. I think obviously the repeated question here is when is God Wars coming out? Soon. Why is my tube name the same as, well, the one it is? Because it is. It's a name I've had for years. Well, holiday items will be tradable. Holiday items, as far as I'm aware, will always be tradable. They would, well, besides the obvious ones such as zombie head and silent bunny ears and everything post, or sorry, everything post Easter eggs, was it? I might be wrong. Might be Easter eggs. Everything after them obviously wasn't tradable, but all the rares that have always been tradable or remain tradable, so you don't have to worry about party guys all of a sudden becoming untradeable. They're going to remain exactly as they are. Loot share and coin share again. We don't have a way of tracking how much an item is worth, obviously. In the main game we know an item is worth 5 mil because the Grand Exchange says it's worth 5 mil. In Old School we don't have that. We only have the alc values. Creating a loot share, coin share system would require us to somehow value an item at a certain value. And obviously we can't do that without Grand Exchange. We don't really have the facilities or infrastructure to implement it right now. It's also something which is rather controversial in our community. As pointed out earlier, a lot of people are very anti Grand Exchange, so I'm not going to discuss that very much more. I think people don't really like that one. I believe the poll is actually now closed. I think it's clear from looking at this that God Wars has actually gone through. I don't think any of us are really surprised by that. So what you can expect to see is God Wars coming very soon. I'm not going to give you an estimated date. I'm only going to say keep watching out for any communication on our Twitters. If you're not following us on Twitter, you can see my Twitter at the top of the screen, @JagXReach. Make sure you follow @JagXAsh and @JagXMattK as well. I like to leak pictures of God Wars on my Twitter, so you could be sitting there one day reading through my Twitter and you might see a picture of Ziliana crop up and maybe a few hilt drops, I don't know. Make sure you follow to see those. We'll also advertise live streams. I really am gunning for a God Wars live stream so we can show you what God Wars is like before we launch it to you. At the same time, we're going to be showing off some content that you've never seen before. That's content that was made but never released. There's quite a bit of that in our current whip branch. Some of it is quite self-explanatory as why it was never released, but nevertheless it's probably very interesting to you because it's something you've never seen before. We could play around with that. Make sure you're obviously keeping up to date with the streams that we post on the Reddit. Obviously, if you don't know, there's actually a Reddit sub-forum for Old School. It's called 2007scape. Keep an eye on that. Matt and I frequently post on there. In fact, earlier today I posted that there's an Easter egg in Nightmare Zone. If you haven't played Nightmare Zone yet, it's just north of Yanil. Definitely go check it out. There's a brand new bit of content. And I'll point out again, I love putting Easter eggs inside content. I like putting little messages and little, animations and whatnot inside content that is otherwise hidden. You have to find the specific way of unveiling it. There's one in Nightmare Zone. No one has found it yet. I know this because every time someone does find it, I receive an error message, and I've not received one to date. So when I go in tomorrow morning, I'm expecting to see a few errors of people finding the Easter egg I put inside Nightmare Zone. Definitely check that one out. I'm actually being spam traded now. You know who you are, and you know to stop spam trading me, because I don't really want to know what it is you're trying to trade me. There's quite a lot of people. Is that a fish tank? No, that's not a fish tank. There's a bearded dragon in that tank. There's no fish. The Easter egg is the cow. No, the cow is not an Easter egg. The lobby cow is just a funny addition that I think Ash decided to go with. There's no reason the cow is there besides why the hell not. So don't get hung up on thinking the cow is somehow related to an Easter egg. Also, I'll point out now that the Easter egg does not mean there is an item inside. I'm seeing a few people say this. I'm gonna quickly clarify this now. There is no Easter egg item in Nightmare Zone. An Easter egg is a hidden piece of content, such as a message or an animation or anything that shouldn't otherwise be there, but is quite funny. There is no actual Easter egg inside Nightmare Zone. We're playing Nightmare Zone for the expectation of receiving an item, because you won't. You'll be bitterly disappointed. Let's try and keep up with as many of these questions now. What will be the next rare? I believe all the rares have already been released. The last one was the crackers. If you didn't get a cracker, then unfortunate. As much as I can say on that one, really. There's plenty in the game. I was at World 1 earlier and I saw someone selling party hats for about 200 or 300k. If you have that money to burn, go and buy a party hat. I don't think crackers are too much more expensive. Can I let us one defense purist travel to Apator without receiving XP reward? That's by Benny101. I believe we already polled that. We might have already polled that, I'm not sure. I think we did and it didn't get through. If we didn't, post it in the forums and I'll read it tomorrow. If someone would like to confirm what it is we polled. We polled a lot of stuff. I can't really keep up with what it is I've polled, because obviously we've polled quite a few hundred questions now. So trying to remember each and individual one of them is difficult. Will there be a poll to implement ZMI? I think majority of the ZMI content's in the WIP archive. It's certainly something we can offer. It's whether or not you want it or not. Again, I think a few people might be disheartened after getting 99 room crafting and then having ZMI put in. I know that when I got 99 or 91 room crafting, I did it all without ZMI, and then instead of just doing double nets, I continued doing ZMI. A few people quoting me on Z here. We're English, we say Z, we don't say Z. I'm just going to throw that one out there. I'm English, I'm not American, sorry. I don't use the term Z. Just for your own 5 seconds of fame, I'm going to see what it is you're trying to trade me here. Unless you're just trying to be a troll. You're trying to be a troll, aren't you? All of that. I've pretty much abandoned what people are saying to me in RuneScape here. I'm not sure if there's many comments coming up here that haven't been asked on the Twitch stream. Can we have a single Old School RuneScape subscription? That's not a question I can answer. I'm not in charge of where subscription payments go. I can't say any more than that. I don't know for sure. I'm not going to promise you they are, when they're probably not, so. KazRS says, will there be an option for gold premium Old School? What do you mean by gold premium? Are you talking about the similar promotion we did for main game, where there was a gold package which gave extra items and rune coins and things like that? Rune coins certainly aren't coming to Old School. Don't take me saying rune coins is a promise. They are. They're certainly not. So there's no need to worry about that. That's for sure. I'm getting a lot of trades again. Quint, I'm not accepting anything you give me. So trading me is a waste of your own effort. Will we get rid of PID? We've only just added it. Why do you want us to get rid of PID? What's wrong with the current PID system? I think that Ops guy wants to party at he pulled. That might explain why he's traded me so much. If this is yours, have it back. Sorry, I haven't been paying much attention to the actual main game chat. Don't pull crackers for me, guys, because if you want the cracker, or if you want the item back, I can't guarantee who gave it to me. This is not a giveaway, but don't pull crackers with me. Will we consider making future Caesar events, or will there be a theme? I would like it to stay as a theme, but that doesn't mean we can work outside the theme. We celebrated summer for the first time. Obviously, we didn't celebrate summer in main game. We haven't ever celebrated summer, but we put some gnomes on the beach of Cathaby and a few other places in game, and had effectively a cocktail party and some gnome balls. So we can work outside the themes of having seasonal events, but I definitely think we're going to stick to doing Easter, Halloween, Christmas, probably even New Year. Although New Year in Old School RuneScape is just basically going to be congratulations, we've advanced a year, welcome back to 2007. But I think that's something we can definitely do. Unless you have any ideas for how you'd want to celebrate the start of the new same year. Because obviously as the years go forward, RuneScape 2007 remains 2007. And don't say 2008scape. About what this has done is basically just started a debate for another server. Will God Wars items be tradable? Yes, they will. I'm convinced someone has given me random events now, because there's no way me standing still has got random event 3 times. Bear with me again. I actually can't remember what animal that even was. I'm going to try and not look too gourmy while doing this. Will crackers be released again? Yes, they will. Probably at Christmas. Look out for them. If we release them before then, expect to hear. Expect there to be communication about it first. Obviously, we're not going to do it and not tell you. So keep your eyes out, I guess. They're certainly being released at Christmas. I know that for sure. Shout out for 2007 Skate Reach. I've already done a shout out for 2007 Reddit. If you're not a member of the 2007 Reddit, be one. Matt and I post on there frequently. It's a very good place to show off your achievements, as well as get up to date with all the things Matt and I post on there occasionally. So yeah, that's a shout out for the 2007 Skate Reddit, I guess. 510 coins. I'm going to give this stream another 15 minutes or so, guys. If there's any questions you need answering related to God Wars, the poll, any of the options, I think now's the time to get them in, really. The only thing I really have to say is God Wars is our top priority right now. We're working on God Wars as of today, or tomorrow even. The moment we get in, the fact that God Wars is now its own personal test stream, we can start working on it straight away. We'll start implementing all the changes that you guys wanted. We will start doing all the essential changes we need to do. Basically, expect us. I look like that one actor. Well, there's quite a few actors out there. I'm not entirely sure which one I look like. Could I give you advice on reupholstering curio cabinets? Without sounding too cheesy or too try-hard, get your crafting level up. It's about the best I can do for you. I don't know what a curio cabinet is. This is the part where I find out this is rather inappropriate and I've completely missed the joke here, but... apparently I look like Miley Cyrus. I can't throw up on stream, so I look like Vin Diesel. I've been told that quite a few times, although I'm not bald, but I don't think it'd be too bad to look like Vin Diesel. I saw a Vin Diesel film yesterday with Silent Core and Maud Oliver, the new Riddick film. Very good, go see it. Can I rap? And can I twerk? I'm certainly not going to do either. I think a court order prevents me from doing so. The release date for God Wars, in the near future. I'm reading some of these comments. Obviously, you're hearing this about 6 seconds after it happens, so there's a few rather ridiculous comments coming through now that have gone off topics. Is Maxscape possible? Yes, Maxscape is possible, although we can't give Maxscape in the same capacity as the Maxscape exists in main game. It won't have a cool looking emote that includes every single skill and lasts 10 seconds or 20 seconds, however long it lasts. That's something for you to decide. If you want a Maxscape, talk about Maxscape on the forums and we'll get interested in, you know, designing one for you. But aside from that, I don't think we're going to add anything additional outside of skill capes if you don't. Any plans to make the non-tradable holiday items tradable? That would be rather contradictive as to the main game, I guess. We're not going to change the things like the zombie head and bunny ears to be tradable. Sorry. Any ideas restricting the voting? So you must have 500 total level to vote instead of 100. We frequently do monitor the incoming levels for the votes. We do check if people are creating spam accounts, paying membership for them, and then throwing out votes to skewer them. We can categorically say this does not happen. So if you have a fear of people creating accounts to vote no on something you really want to vote yes on, this doesn't actually happen. Don't worry about that. We do keep an eye on that. We don't really have any reason to up the requirements for the vote. It remains as it is. So I think 100 is fair enough anyway. So a new person can't come into the game and immediately do, immediately vote. They have to play through it for a little bit before they actually get a chance to voice their opinions. So there's no reason for us to implement it or increase it from 100 to anything like 500. I don't think that's really necessary, to be honest. Could we reduce the world hop timer? I don't actually know why it's that long. I believe there's a very good valid reason for that, and I'll ask Engine tomorrow. This is a rather low blow here, but if you follow me on Twitter, if you tweet me, I'll remember to tweet back to you tomorrow and with an answer. If you're not following me on Twitter, it's actually right up there. I'm gonna vaguely point towards where I think it is. Obviously, I can't actually. Just follow at Jagex Reach as well as at Jagex Ash and Jagex Matt K. Yes, someone does want to trade me, but said person trading me, I don't really see why said person needs to trade me. I'm not going to give you your 5 minutes of fame. You've already got it in the trades. So Please answer. When using the gilded altar for prayer, when returning back to that same home, can their name be there instead of having to retype it every time? That's from Sack72312. That's a very good idea, actually. I'm surprised nobody's mentioned that before. If they have, we certainly haven't seen it. So put that down on the forums, and that's something I'll look at tomorrow, if it's possible. I believe it's possible, so that'd be a really good idea instead of having to type everything in again. That's actually a good shout. So post that on the forums, we'll have a look at that one tomorrow. I'm getting more tweets come through. Sorry, I'm not ignoring the stream. I'm checking a few questions that are coming from by tweet. Actually, most of the questions that come through in Twitter so far have actually been questions that come on stream. So, do I play Halo Reach? Yes, I do. When is God Wars coming out? In the near future. Keep an eye out on it. Would Matscape ever be added? We talked about this a minute ago. We're certainly going to add it outside of poll, so it's possible. Apparently, a person traded me has something really important to show me. Do I want to do this on stream or do I not? Let's have a look. What is it you need to show me so desperately? Oh, for the purpose of the stream, I guess I'll put this on, shall I? There we go. I've been given a rather atrocious outfit. Is there a loot share option? Loot share is possible. Well, actually, no, sorry, loot share is not possible right now. It's something we'll have to look into. I'll actually walk around a little bit. I'm just standing on the spot now for quite a while. Try to acquire following here. Advanced agility courses. I know your pain when you say you need those. Out of all the 99s I trained on my road to completing this game, I think agility was possibly one of the most painful. I'd say fishing was the most. But are bank tabs possible? Yes, they are. There's something we'll look at doing in the future, especially after the current bank update that's gone out. So keep an eye out for those. Can we get clan high scores, adventure log? Sorry, just a little bit of a stretch there. High scores and adventure log is something that the web team have to look after. That's nothing we can do in content, so I'm not going to comment on that one because I simply don't know. Questscape trimming via Nightmare Zone rewards. I don't think we can trim Questscape. Would you want to trim Questscape? What colour would you have a Questscape trim? It's quite a nice silvery colour as it is. What would you add onto it? Any possibility of anti-aliasing? Maybe. I don't know for sure. Does Old School need anti-aliasing? Surely you would need HD for that, and that's not something you're gonna get. So I don't see the point of adding something like anti-aliasing when there's no HD. I'm gonna give this stream another 5 minutes, by the way, guys. If you've got many other questions, 5 minutes is your time period to get them in. Can RuneTech 5 be added? If you really want RuneTech 5, please post on the actual Old School RuneScape general forums or the feedback forums with a reason as to why you want it and need it, because at the moment I'm not convinced it's necessary and that we can do everything within RuneTech 5 you need within the current RuneTech 3 engine. So please give us, please justify to me why you need RuneTech 5 and we'll look into it. But aside from that, I think we can do everything within RuneTech 5 within RuneTech 3. I believe So if you go to the forums for Old School, please create a thread or multiple threads. I'd rather you do it in a thread and just explain why it is you need RuneTech 5. I'm seeing this come up quite a lot, but no one's fully explained why it's necessary. So if you can explain why it's necessary, we'll look into it, I guess. This is actually a question outside of Old School, and more a question about QA, so I think this is worth one worth exploring. How long does it take for you to read a bug report? By Luke V22. If I was at work right now, and you submitted a bug report, if I clicked refresh on the queue, I would see it within that second. So from you submitting it, I could see that bug report within the next second after you've sent it. There might be a slight delay. I might receive it, maybe at max 5 minutes later, but after you sending a bug report, we actually receive it immediately. I think there's a quite contrary to popular belief, submitting a bug report is useful. We man that queue. I think the QA team is like 45 people big now. So with 45 people constantly looking at the queues for bug reports, they're going to be seen almost the moment they get sent in. So if you find a bug, don't just assume that we're not going to look at it or pay attention to it. Definitely bug report it. I look after the Old School bug reports. They're done in email format. If you've got a bug for Old School, email oldschoolbugs@jagex.com, I believe it is. Quite a few people actually email through that mailbox to say hi. Please don't spam it, but you can test it by sending an email saying hi, and I might reply to give you an example of how quickly we reply to those bug reports. Not every bug report obviously gets a personal response, but someone is saying, what is God Wars? God Wars is a dungeon which contains 4 bosses that represent each of the gods. Each of those bosses drops something called a hilt, as well as blades. When combined, they create something called a God Sword. That God Sword has a special effect. That special effect could be the AGS spec, which just decimates you. It could be the SGS spec, which heals you half of the damage you do, as well as a quarter of that damage to your prayer. It's an all-round rather epic place. Go check it out. Well, obviously, go check it out when we release it, but there's plenty of videos on YouTube. I'm sure you could find one. What is the most facepalm of a bug I found? I couldn't name one specifically. There are certainly many facepalm of bugs out there. Full screen Old School? That's not going to happen. I'm sorry. I know it's quite frustrated playing in a tiny window. There are ways around that. You can adjust your resolution. You can use magnifier, but we can't ever give you the full screen. We don't have the facilities to cater for, developing that. I'm getting more tweets come through. So actually, the tweet that just came through was the question I just answered. So we'll be making the profanity filter optional. That's actually something for the player support guys to decide, I think. Obviously, they're the ones that deal with the profanity filters and, the reports that come through from people, reporting abuse. They deal with all ban appeals. Sorry, I'm seeing quite a few ban appeals come through, so I'll actually include this one in this answer. If they want a profanity filter in Old School, I guess we'll work on developing one, but I'm not going to say there is one coming. They haven't complained so far, and we're, 8 or 9 months into Old School, so... Do you think 50% magic shortbow spec is overpowered? When the MSB got nerfed, weapons weren't that powerful as they are now. I don't think there's a plan to nerf the MSB. I don't see a reason to. I'm pretty sure the dartbow is a bit more OP than the MSB anyway. I've seen videos where dartbow, people rush with dartbow and void and down someone within a second or two. So I don't see why MSB is overpowered. Yes, shout out to Mod Ramen of the Law forums. I'm going to throw that one out there. What's it like working for Old School? I think what people don't understand, or what people don't really know, is I played during this era. I've played RuneScape now for 8 years. I campaigned for Old School, or an 06 server, as much as everybody else did. Obviously, eventually we ended up with an 07 or an 07 server. So working on it is absolutely amazing, I guess. I get to do all the updates and play around with an old version of a game that I loved dearly when I was playing it. That and spent 20 hours a day grinding on. We've actually gone over the 5 minutes, but I'll answer a few more questions because a few good ones are coming through here actually. Will we increase the amount of dart we should get on a task? We can do. That's another poll option. Well, something we'll investigate in the future. What else have we got down here? What's the poster behind you of? That's a Halo Reach poster. It's actually a wall art, but what else have we got down here? How long time have you planned those? How long time have you planned OSRS will stay? It will remain as long as it remains popular, I guess, and it shows no sign of changing. I think the numbers are definitely still going up. As of recently, we've actually seen the numbers go up rather dramatically. That's probably in anticipation for God Wars. Nightmare Zone might have something to do with that. Old School RuneScape is going nowhere as far as I'm concerned. It's looking very, very healthy. I don't think anybody can disagree with that. Will there be crackers every year? Yes, there will. Crackers will show up at Christmas. If they show up before that, I'm pretty sure we'll let you know beforehand. Moderate, your team is amazing. Thank you. We do try, obviously. We'll do whatever we can to make this service as successful and as popular as we can be. I'll throw a few more questions in. I might give you an extra 3 minutes. I'll go to 35 minutes past. Will you be bringing back item lending? I'm not sure if that's a facility we can cater for. We might be able to. I don't think we can. I'm not going to talk any more about item lending because I don't know if it's possible or not. I'm not going to get your hopes up. God Wars release is coming soon. No official date. I don't know the dates. It's best to just keep an eye out on communications. Again, if you're not following my Twitter is in the corner at JagXReach. If you haven't got Twitter, get it. That's not me advertising for Twitter there, but obviously if you follow myself and various other JMods that are on Twitter, you can get updates on future content. You can get updates into our personal life with tweeting cakes and whatnot that other people tweet. What is the funniest bug I've ever found? I've found so many bugs. I say I found so many bugs. So many bugs have been reported through the queues that I couldn't possibly name a specific one to be hilarious. My favourite bug that I've ever found, probably, actually, thinking about it, is probably when I made Ozan meow in the Ozan quest in main game. I'm not going to talk about main game though, this is an old school stream, so I'm going to give you 1 extra minute here before I sign off, because I'm rather hungry, to be honest, and I haven't eaten yet. That and I'm rather thirsty at the same time. I don't want to abandon the stream and just leave you with my rats and bearded dragon and then just come back, so... Smoke and kill slay rewards, yes, there's something we can do. I'm not convinced you want smoke and kills, I'm convinced you want the rewards. I don't see the point in developing a quest if it's the rewards you want, but if you want the quest as well, we can definitely do something similar to that, but it's going to be an awful lot of work, so stay tuned, I guess. I shout out to GBU there, you know who you are. Will I blow you a kiss goodbye? It's not very professional. Are we going to add Clan Wars and PvP as well later in the near future? There's certainly something that we'll poll again. You've voiced an interest in them. PvP worlds is something I'm really big on. I think they're incredibly important for the game. I never PK'd, but I certainly did like them when they were around originally, so I'm keen to get PvP worlds up and running, or out to the poll and out into a design stage after God Wars is released, so we'll definitely be seeing PvP worlds come sometime in the future, or at least as a design for it sometime in the future. And I'll throw one more question out there. Let's try and get a decent question in. Something that we haven't actually had yet. You've got one last question, guys, before I sign off. So if there's anything you really want to know, or anything you want answered, you have effectively one last question to... There's a few questions coming through that I'm not going to answer. You know exactly who you are. You've had your hour and a half of fame, so as well as the rest. So okay, now the actual chat is spammed, so I'm trying to find one specifically. Let's have a look what we got. We've already answered most of those. That's something everybody else in the chat could tell you. You don't really need me to answer that question. Everybody else could tell you the answer to that one. I'm waiting for something to come through that hasn't. I'm not answering that. I'm struggling to see something we haven't answered yet. What we got? Make a Guthix Godsword. I'm not going to answer that question, but it's quite interesting. The cake is a lie. It definitely is. Portal references for the win. Dark Mage on NPC contact. I'll take that one. That hasn't come up yet. I think we can add Dark Mage on NPC contact. That's something we'll poll. If you want to fix your pouches remotely, I guess that's something we can do. Is that something people want? Do people want to be able to fix their pouches remotely when runecrafting with a Dark Mage through NPC contact? I know that was incredibly useful when you were doing Astrals and running Astrals. It's something I did when I was running Astrals. I see a lot of people spamming yes. Okay, that's good. That means, you know, we'll get around to investigating that one, I guess. So I'm going to conclude this here, guys. I don't see any reason to continue. I think we covered a lot of questions. If you, obviously, the poll is now closed. God Wars is definitely coming out. It received 89% out of the 100% it could possibly gain. 75% being the threshold. A few of the things that didn't go through were the PJ timer. I think that what that tells us is a lot of PJers out there like PJing. We have the God Wars Slayer targets not going through. We have the Armadillo Godsword's power going up to 60% not going through. We have the Spiritual Mages dropping a Dragon Shard to be used on Rune Boots in order to make Dragon Boots not going through. We have the Amulet of Damned degradable item from the Zamrak boss not going through. And we're not seeing the Armadillo Crossbow go through. Ash has actually posted some information on the forums regarding the Armadillo Crossbow. If you're confused by it, go and read it. I don't have the quick find code, but if you look on the Old School RuneScape general forums on the main RuneScape forum page, Ash has highlighted what the Armadillo Crossbow question actually meant. If people feel there needs to be a repoll, obviously do communicate that. Otherwise, we might see the Armadillo Crossbow remain as it is. I don't know. If you want it to really go through, you really do need to post on the forums. We read those forums every day. They're open on my screen 24/7. I'm refreshing those all the time. So please read them. Please post on them. Also, please try and read the dev blogs before they go out. If you don't understand what question means, it's been, you know, accurately highlighted and identified in the dev blog. I can't say really more than that. Aside from that, guys, I'm going to call it a night here. Sorry if my sporadic disconnections were frustrating. I'm obviously doing this at home for the first time. I think this is the second time this has been done from home, beside from Matt K doing his streams from home for the rares, but obviously we have no rares. If you're not following my Twitter is in the corner. It's at JagXReach. Follow that. Make sure you follow at JagXAsh. He's the Old School developer, or one of them. And follow at JagXMattK. He's the Old School community manager. He's the guy that basically organises the rares that were dropped for you in any other random, you know, little community events that come up. If you want to see more of those, Matt's your man. So I'm going to call it a night here, guys. Thanks for listening. Stay tuned for more God Wars reveals. We're going to do a God Wars live stream in future where we're going to show you God Wars in its current form. We're also going to show you content that has never been released before. That's a nice little reveal for you. Outside of that, any other live streams, I imagine Silent Core is your man. If you have an idea, throw it to him. If he needs us to do it, we'll do it for him. Make sure you follow my Twitter. I'll see you guys later.